Hi, and welcome to my channel, Women of a Certain Age. I am Daheem, and on this channel, we celebrate Gen X with confidence and joy. Today, I want to talk about dating for the Gen X, regardless of what your age is. Gen X, that is 45 and above. What has been your dating experiences? Have you gotten back out there? Are you kind of good on dating? Are you a little hesitant? I ask that because I'm going to start dating again. I kind of put it on hold, but now I'm thinking that I want to date again. And I realize that I have to be prepared. What does that look like? I don't know, but I'll have to find out. So before I get started, please like, share, and subscribe, and also add some comments of what your dating experience is. And if you are not Gen X, tell me what your experience is. I'm curious to know what that looks like for others as well. I know for us, the 45 and over dating, some say it's challenging. Some say they have a great experience because they don't take everything so seriously. I am curious to know, what does that look like? So if you don't mind, let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about dating. What does dating look like now versus when you were dating in your 20s, or if you dated in your 20s? How has it changed? I know for me, there's not as many out there. A good majority of people are married or they don't have a desire to date. They have decided that they just want to play the field. They want to have a forever girlfriend or something along those lines. What does that look like for you? I'm curious to know. As I stated before, you will see me look off to my notes to make sure that I am covering the things that I wanted to talk about. One of the other things I know is possibly fewer dating opportunities. As mentioned, people are married, people just don't want to date, they want to play the field. There's so many different options that, why people are not dating nowadays. And then some just don't want to deal with nonsense that they've experienced. I hear people oftentimes say that the dating pool is shallow. And if it's not shallow, there's pee in a pool. I don't know if I agree with that, because I think it really is what you get out of it. And this is something that I have had to learn, because I can be a very serious person. I can also be a goofball at times, and I like to have fun and enjoy myself. But it takes a little bit for me to, feel the person out, feel, how, he's coming along. You get to know someone. I am not the person that is, I don't want to say warm and friendly initially, but I don't know. I could blame it on my Brooklyn roots, but I don't want to do that. But I initially a hot mess. Initially, it was a challenge. I had the guard up, I had the walls up, but I'm learning. I am like that egg is starting to crack. Tick, 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 tick. That was my mimic of a chisel, and you crack an egg like. But anyway, and what are the options for dating? There's online dating, there's meeting in real life. I want to just call off some of the dating apps that they're out there. And there are so many that are out there, but I just want to call some of them off. Bumble, Facebook dating now is, I haven't tried that one, and I think I might, only because it connects you with people that you may have mutual friends. And I think that's pretty cool because you can ask a person that you're friends with, hey, do you know anything about this person? Just to see if they can give you some information or insight about that. Excuse me, I have something in my eye. Hinge, I see a lot of commercials for that. Not familiar with it, have not used it before. Match, if you watch my previous story time, that's where I met the person on Match. Black Christian people meet, and there's also Black people meets. Upward is a Christian dating site. I have not tried that one, but I hear a lot of good things about that. Our Time is, I believe it's the dating site for people over 50. I believe. I could be wrong. Tinder is another one, and eHarmony. I remember eHarmony years ago, the amount of questions that they asked. And I guess when you think about it, they were very thorough. Now, how effective, I don't know. But I have, let me rephrase that, effective for me. The information that I put in, they will seemingly always would give me the opposite of what I asked for. I mean, who knows? They might have known something I didn't, and maybe I should have just tried it. But that's neither here nor there. But I do know that quite a few of these, I know people that have met people on these sites, and they met their person, ended up getting married. So it really depends on who and what you're looking for. I am learning more and more that dating is an experience. What does that look like? How do we date? Are we healed from some things of previous experiences that we had? And are we taking those previous experiences into the new dating world? If you have not healed from maybe some form of trauma or some experience that you may have had before, maybe you won't be ready for dating. I know for me, my experience from that last time when I was, and it's been at least I want to say 1 or 2 years now, but my experience from that last dating experience, I just sat back for a while. I pulled back because that took a lot out of me. But now I feel like I'm ready. I am learning more and more about myself, and I am looking forward to see what does that look like in, the dating world. Let's talk about the positive sides of dating as well as the challenges of dating. Some of the positive sides of dating are we know what we want, and we're not going to compromise on that. Now, when I say we know what we want and we're not going to compromise, what exactly does that look like? Case in point, as funny as it is. Let's say someone says they don't want to date a man that wears a particular something, whatever that may be. That could be boots, or that it could be something as shallow as that. And my question is that really a deal breaker? I mean, can they change their shoes? Or I know someone that, they didn't like what a particular young lady had on, and they were vocal about it. They said, I don't like what she's wearing. Can she change that? If she doesn't have style, or if he doesn't have style, is it possible for you to help them with their style? Or can you just accept them for who they are? And that's, where they lie in that. Oftentimes we get into relationships. The goal is for us both to skill up, for us to improve on certain things. I remember years ago, I don't know if anyone can remember this out there, but I remember there was a particular comedian, and he would always wear these suits that were expressive. They were loud, they were colorful. I actually thought the suits was cool, but hey, to each his own. And his wife helped him change his whole entire wardrobe, and he was the better for it. So are we able to bring something to the table in terms of helping somebody out? You are the helpmeet, or they are there to help you as well. So they may see something that you're wearing that you may think is the cutest thing ever, and your guy would be like, I'm not feeling that. I knew someone they were going to go out, have a night on the town, and she came down and she just thought she was the cutest thing. And he said, I thought you were going to get dressed. Whoa. How do you handle that? I don't know. Like, how would you handle that? Can you assist, or can you help with that? And it was clear with that where he was just saying he didn't like what she had on. Now, was that a conversation that they probably could have had before she got dressed? I'm sure, because in that case, it could have ruined the date night. But what does that look like? Going back to the challenges and the pros and cons, knowing what you want, knowing what you like. If you like something and somebody's doing something that you don't like, do you tell them with hopes that they will change, or do you accept that? You don't have time for games. You are, a tell it like it is. Let's just put it on the table, so there is no mixing and matching in terms of that. I know nowadays people have, I don't know if it's a game. I don't really know. I've never been one to live by that rule, but back in the day, it used to be, if you exchange numbers, you wait a few days. Why? What are you waiting a few days for? And I know they say that, you don't want to seem thirsty, or you don't want to seem too eager. I mean, if you like somebody, or you're interested, or you like what you see, what are you waiting for? Have a conversation, because you can wait 3 days, and 3 days later you have this conversation with them and you realize, I could have got this done the first day, and realized that this person is not a person that I would rather have a conversation with, or I would want to have a conversation with any further. And usually, hopefully, if you are having these conversations, initially, you know whether or not you want to give this person your phone number. I know for me, I am not big on giving my phone number immediately. I would like to have a conversation with you just to see if there's some compatibility there. If there isn't compatibility, and I've given my number, which I have done back in the day, it's hard, trying to pivot away from that, because he has one thing in mind in terms of getting to know me, and I am on a whole nother plane or level from that standpoint. So then I have to, have the conversation, or it could be vice versa. I may not be what he wants. Now we got to have this conversation, which may be a hard conversation or not, depending on where both of us are, and saying, this, I don't think this will work. But being honest, I think one thing should be, and that's honesty. And not honesty to the point where, some people say, well, they're brutally honest. You don't have to be brutally honest. You can say something and be kind about it. So keep that in mind. Confidence and self-worth. What does that look like to you? Because if you don't feel worthy, your dating may be tainted. You may date someone that you may not even like, but you think that's all you can deserve, or that's all your self-worth is. What does that look like? And I'm trying to find an example, because I don't want to be Oh, I'll give you a great example. I was listening to uh, a group on a radio station, and someone had called in. They were shooting their shot, and they said they told her for her to not put herself in a box. And when he said that, he said for her to be open to possibly, dating someone that may not even have a record, but may be in prison. That's what it was. That they may be in prison, and they could be pen pals or something along those lines. And she was very clear. She said, that is not what I want. And there's nothing wrong with that. She said a little bit more, but I don't remember exactly what she said. But she just said, hey, that's not where she saw herself, and she wouldn't even get involved with something like that. I think that's fair. I think that's honest. And that's not being, nasty or anything like that. She said it doesn't work for her. We talked about some positive sides. Let's talk about some challenges. Now, some of the challenges would be like fewer dating options in your circle, or maybe you know someone that maybe can introduce you to someone, or as I said previously, being honest, and you being honest, that may minimize your dating pool. Dealing with dealing with men that have baggage, let's say that. Now, what do you call baggage? Because I was listening to someone and they said that why would you date someone that has baggage? And they consider baggage an ex-spouse or children. For Gen X, you may have be dating someone that has grown children. Would you date someone that has children that are still in the house? Maybe they have teenagers. I know many of my friends that are Gen X that are dating, they don't want to deal with anyone that has small children, because many of them have already raised their kids and they don't want to raise any more kids. That could be a challenge. But what if you meet somebody that is really amazing and they have children in the house, whether that's toddlers, whether that is teenagers, or they have grown children that are really attached. What does that look like? Whether that's how do they correspond and interact with their children? Do their children run their life, meaning that they cannot do anything? Their kids call all of the shots. They are, let's say you're out and about and the child calls and they say they're hungry because the child is still at home, and you have to rush home to make them something to eat, and they are more than capable of making their own food. Is that considered a challenge, or are you okay with that? Online dating can also be a struggle because you have so many things out there. You have catfishing, you have love bombing, you have people that just send just weird messages. I really wish I could share some of the messages that I have received when dating someone or trying to meet somebody to go out on a date or something like that. They'll send just messages that are inappropriate, and be mindful of that. If you pause, think about what you're sending to somebody. And while that may be your norm and how you correspond with people, you got to ask yourself, is this person I'm sending this message to, is this going to be taken the wrong way? And I'm talking about from the standpoint of something that may be considered vulgar or inappropriate. You just met this person, so maybe you shouldn't send a message to someone that you don't know. I wish I could share some of the stories that I have and some of the text messages that I have received. just think about it. That's all I ask. Just think about it. We know there are pros and cons when it comes to dating. Challenges you may experience, some good things because you are in a better space and time where you know what you want or you're learning what you want. What do you want in a partner? What does that look like? What are your desires? Don't waste your time. If there's something that you want and they don't want, have that conversation and move on. If you meet somebody and let's say for me, if I meet a guy and he is amazing, but he says he wants kids, that's not going to happen. So I have to be honest enough to have that conversation with him and say, okay, that's not going to happen over in this space. And, you know, the hard part is them walking away or you walking away. Have that conversation and be honest with yourself and them to share that, you know. And it may not be something as serious as kids. It could be, you know, where you all live. He could be in another state. I'm in one state. Are either of us willing to relocate? And if we're not willing to relocate, what are we doing? You know, you have a phone buddy that you're having a conversation with, but you have to be honest about that. Emotional maturity over looks, what does that look like? Would you prefer, let's say this person from an aesthetic standpoint is absolutely gorgeous and you think they are the cream of the crop, but let's say they don't have any emotional maturity. What do you do with that? How do you handle that? Are you going to be able to override what they look like if they just don't have any common sense or they don't know how to process when you get into disagreements? They throw temper tantrums. Some of the things that I see on, let's say, Instagram, on social media, period, but people will, you know, do tapings or videos of when they're going on a date, which is odd in itself, to be honest with you. But they'll go on a date and then they show how the other person is reacting. Of course, you never see the beginning of it or just to see context, but it's just a little weird how people respond to stuff. Are you okay with that? If the person is emotionally immature, how do you handle that? Are you okay with that? Is that something where you think, well, maybe they have some room to grow? I think at our big age of Gen X, you should be able to walk that out. What does that look like? Not throwing tantrums, being able to have a conversation. If you're upset, say you're upset and be kind about it. You don't have to be nasty. I used to date someone and he would be upset and would not talk to me for a few days. And I would have a conversation. I was like, hey, you know, what's going on? It's clear that you're upset. What exactly is the issue? And his answer would be that, yes, he's upset. He doesn't want to talk right now because he felt like if he was going to say something, it was going to be nasty. You don't have to be nasty. You're smart enough to articulate and say what you need to say. If you're that upset, you could say that at the beginning of day one. You know, hey, I'm upset. Give me a little bit of time. I feel like if I say something right now, I'm going to say it out of anger and I may regret it. Okay, I can accept that as opposed to giving someone the silent treatment. That's not cool. Kindness and shared values over chemistry. You can have chemistry with someone and it is amazing chemistry, but is it going to fizzle out? You know, what does that look like? What if the chemistry that you have with them, because I think sometimes chemistry can be overrated. You could meet somebody and y'all click right off the bat, and then you realize this is not what I thought it was going to be. How do you handle that? You have to have some form of plan of what you're going to do, how you're going to work that out. Companionship versus incompatibility. You know, they say opposites attract. I don't know, because I feel like you have to have some commonalities. Like, you know, this is your companion. You do things together. You don't want to be with someone and let's say every day of the week they watch sports. And I have some good girlfriends that they are sports fanatics. They really enjoy sports, and the guys that they're with enjoy sports. I'm not a big sports person. I will watch, but I'm not really a big sports person. I will go to a game or something along those lines, but I don't eat, drink, and breathe sports. That's just not my thing. Am I willing to learn? Yes, but I'm not a person that every Sunday I am watching whatever the season is of the game, whether that's football, baseball, basketball. That's just not, you know, my thing. Now, if he wants to watch sports, that's his space, that's his time, his me time, and that's what he want to do, I'm all for it. But if that means that I have to be there with him the entire time, I'm not sure if I want to do that. What are some of the things that you want in a partner? Emotional stability versus looks. I talked about that. Financial stability versus ambition. What does that look like? Suppose you meet someone and they are not where you want them to be. Oftentimes, men will accept a woman that is not there, as opposed to a woman won't accept a man that is not there. What does that look like? Is that something that you can work with, or is it something that you should even work with, you know? Regardless of where you are in life, whether it's the man looking for the woman or the woman looking for the man. Is that a deal breaker? Is that something where you can build together or work together? Or do you want to come together and build? Let's say, because someone is going to make most of the money, unless you're on the same, plane. But what happens if, as a woman, you make more money than him? How do you handle that? As a man, I don't know if it's a big issue for all my men out there. How do you feel? Suppose you date someone, because I've heard that as well, where men have a challenge with dating women that make more money than them. They don't feel, I don't know if secure is the word, but I've heard them say that will never happen. You know, if she makes more money than you, do you feel that you have to? I heard someone say before, what did he say? He said he believes that if a woman makes more money than the man, the woman will always bring that up. I don't know that to be true, because I know plenty of couples where the woman makes more money than the man, and it's not an issue. I also know couples where the man makes more money than the woman, and he talks about it all the time. I watched it was a reality show many years ago, and I remember him saying, because he was into sports, he was an athlete, and he would clown about how he met her and how she had nothing when he met her, and he basically improved her, kind of like kind of like Build-A-Bear to me. To me, it was in poor taste, but I guess that worked for them. Unfortunately, they're no longer together. But, I don't think anybody, regardless of the woman making more money or the man making more money, I don't think anybody wants to hear someone talking about that all the time. If ever, to be honest with you. But are you able to work with somebody, because somebody somewhere along the line is going to make more money? How does that work? The importance of companionship, I talked about that. Compatibility, kindness, and shared values over chemistry. I think chemistry is overrated, like I said a few minutes ago. What does that look like? What do you want? You have to know what you want, or have an idea. If you are going on dates, you may not know. I think for us Gen X, particularly for those of us that have been in relationships for a long period of time, and now we are getting back out there, dating is different now. What does it look like? Dating is really different now. Are you willing to date outside your race? Are you willing to date someone from an aesthetic standpoint that you normally would not choose? Would you choose or date someone that is shorter than you? Would you date someone that is taller than you? I have some short friends. All they like is short guys. They said they don't want no man where their head is in their chest, because that's too much of a man for them. The other way around, I saw on Instagram just the other day where a couple were getting married, and she was considerably taller than him. And when it was time for them to kiss, where the pastor said, "You may kiss the bride," they gave him a step stool, and he had no problems with it, and neither did she. Are you willing to change some of those things? Some people are like, no, I can never do that, or whatever. You got to ask yourself, what are you willing to give up? And the saying, can you have it all? Maybe, but maybe not at the same time. But you got to look to see what are deal breakers and what are not deal breakers. I talked about, what does dating look like? What does dating look like for you? What does dating look like for me? How do we meet people, whether that's online, whether that's in real life, whether that is connections? Maybe some friends. Is it possible, you could have a event or soiree or something where you can have one of your male friends bring one of his male friends, you bring one of your female friends, and see if y'all connect, see what that looks like. Let's see. What do you want in a partner? What does that look like? Do you know what you want? And if you don't know what you want, do you continue to date to see? Because you might think you want one thing, and then you connect with somebody and they completely blow your mind, or that thing that you thought you want, you don't want it. It's not that important to you. What does that look like? Online dating. What websites are, what dating apps or websites are really have good reviews? I remember years ago there was a dating site that said that if you did not meet someone within 6 months, they would give you your money back. I don't think they still have that nowadays, because people are changing in how they, respond and what that looks like. What does that look like to you? Do you know? Is there a fear of dating? Is there, because getting out there can be challenging. Like I said, particularly if you have been in a relationship for, however many years prior, if you were married for however many years prior, and now you have decided you want to go and get back in, test the waters, what does that look like? And you can't, I want to say this with all due respect. You cannot take into your dating world the experience of what was before. And particularly if there was some baggage or some form of trauma, because it's not fair for that person that you may be interested in now to feel what the other person put you through. And if that is the case, there's some healing that needs to be involved, some therapy. And it's not easy, believe me, I know. Still working out some things. But it's not fair. You can't do it. So just keep that in mind. Be very mindful of that. I think for us, Gen X that is, I think that dating can be fun. It can be a really good experience, but you have to make time. We have to make time. I know that's for me. I am preaching to the choir when I say that. I have to make time to do it because I can get so caught up in work. I can, I have a lot of stuff going on at my church where things are happening, and I just don't have the time. But we really make time for what we want, don't we? For the most part, right? Whether that means you can meet somebody and get a cup of coffee, you can, you don't have to do a full dinner. That's another thing I heard was, the thing was they say, if you meet somebody, you go on a date, go on a coffee date. I went on a coffee date. I hear some women say, they don't want to go on a coffee date because they feel like that's too cheap. But you may not want to be with somebody for hours on end at a restaurant and there is nothing that you have in common, or there's nothing that you can have a conversation about. And I think at this age and generation that we are, you can buy your own food if that's the case. So if the thought process, and I say that because the lady said that she didn't want to go on a date. She felt like he was being cheap because he wanted to take her on a coffee date. One of my coworkers went out on a date with someone. Now, they're not Gen X, they're much younger. But he said that he spent almost $300 on a date. And he said that he wouldn't go on a date with her again. That's a lot of money. And think about if you were going on a date, let's say 2 or 3 times a week. 2 times alone, if you spend $300 a pop, you looking at $600. 3 times, $900. That's a lot for somebody that you are not interested in at all. I'm just saying. But to each his own. I'm just saying. And regardless of how much money is being spent, if you don't enjoy yourself, what are you doing? Because you want a meal? Because you can go to the store, if that's the case, and buy some food and cook your own food, and it probably tastes just as good, if not better. So keep that in mind. Remember, dating over 50 doesn't have to be discouraging. It could be fun and exciting. Make sure when you go into it that you go into it with open hand. Don't have your hands so tight. Just open up your hands. Just see what comes. If you don't like something or it doesn't work, okay, it was an experience. You don't have to be so like, I'm done. Because I've done that before and I could have been having really a good time. So I am learning. I am putting myself back out there. But I also ask you, what have been your dating experiences? Do you have a funny story that you can share? Please like, share, and subscribe. Put in the comments what your dating experience has been. And thank you again for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed and were able to glean from some of the things that I have shared out. And I look forward to talking and reading your comments the next go round. Have a blessed week